Hi everybody, thanks for taking the time to watch this video on overcoming stress, anxiety and mental fatigue. And where I'm going to start with you really is the idea of getting to know the mind-body connection and looking at how stress, anxiety and mental fatigue, I suppose how the body causes them and how they are connected. So I really want to start with that one, stress, because as we know, stress is known as the silent killer. And I suppose the reason why it is the biggest killer of them all is because stress causes so many different diseases in the body, and there's absolutely tons of research out there to prove that. But what I really want to get into is the idea that stress is a silent killer because we don't actually, a lot of the time, realize we're stressed. We just think this is busy life, this is the way life is meant to be, and it's juggle, 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 and we get from one thing to the next. And also, we don't always see the effects of stress. So, stress can be like a time bomb ticking away inside our body. And that's because when we are stressed, we are on high alert. And when we're on high alert, the body is trained, the physiological body is trained to pump us full of cortisone, which is the fight flight hormone, and it causes, I suppose, it sends you more energy. It's like a shot of adrenaline through your system so that you can be ready to act, ready to run, ready to fight. And when we're overstimulated and over alert, this is flooding through our system. Now, the reason why that's really important for us to know is because that hormone debilitates the ending of our chromosomes, which are called telomeres. So if you think about a DNA structure, and it is as that lovely spiral, which is our chromosomes, that represents how slowly or how fast we age. So at the end of those lovely chromosomes are little tips, almost like if you think the plastic tip on the end of your shoelaces. And cortisone wears them down. So if you think about your shoelace and the little plastic tip disappears and you've got those frayed edges, the frayed edges travel up through the lace till eventually the lace becomes worn out. Well, it's exactly the same for us when it comes to our chromosomes and how quickly we age. If you are too stressed out, stress has the effect on the body to prematurely fray or deteriorate the telomeres in our chromosomes and speed up the aging process. And the reason why we know that is because we talk about the body in a chronological age and we talk about it in a metabolic age. And I think um, that politician, his name has slipped from my mind. He was recently in the last few years talking about, he had a chronological age of in his 40s, but his metabolic age was in his 50s. And what that means is that, like, that by the calendar, we've measured him to be a certain age, but then his body had aged faster than his chronological years. So it's telomeres in people who suffer from extreme stress, prolonged stress, and when they suffer trauma or stress where they're lacking support throughout their stress, have been proven to age to wear down faster than people who are less exposed to stress, less exposed to prolonged stress, and or have support through the stressful periods of our life. Because let's face it, we are all going through ups and downs in life. We're not going to have a stress-free life. So it's not that we can say, okay, well, we're not going to have any stress anymore. When we look then at anxiety, anxiety is one of the byproducts of our body when it's been pushed too far. So particularly your mental health, if you think about your mental, emotional health, when the mind is overactive, when it's pushed too far, what happens is, so anybody that has that kind of overthinking mind, overactive mind, where you just can't seem to get off that train of thought, it's like a treadmill, you mightn't even realize that that's going on. But then what happens is a bout of anxiety or an experience of anxiety comes on. And what happens is when we get an attack of anxiety, we feel it in our body. So some people feel a tightness in their chest, sometimes feel a tightness in their tummy, maybe you might feel dizzy. Everybody has an experience of anxiety in a different way. There's an array of symptoms, but just say, for example, Often when you feel the symptoms of anxiety, you actually don't know where they're coming from or why you're experiencing them. And that is because they are a byproduct of the already overactive, overworked, overstimulated, overthinking mind. And in the moment when you feel the experience or the symptom of it, you mightn't necessarily be in a stressful moment or a moment that would naturally cause you anxiety or any kind of fear. You might wake up in the morning and all of a sudden you have this feeling in your chest. So the reason we have that feeling in our chest is because if the body doesn't give us symptoms, we will not act. So anxiety, like any other sensation in the body, is your body communicating with you. I like to think of anxiety like your body waving a little flag, almost like a white flag, saying, help, we can't continue like this. We need some help. We need some support. We need to slow down. You need to look after this mind or this is going to get worse. Don't worry, I've got really simple techniques to show you how to do that, but just to say to you, that is definitely what's going on. And that's why people say to me all the time, I work with people around anxiety all of the time, and they say to me, it happens in the middle of a supermarket, it happens as I'm driving my car. I have no reason why this is happening. It's not happening because of that moment, it's happening because of the build up to the moment. So think about it like being on a treadmill in the gym. It's on the highest setting, and you're just doing your best to keep up with it. Eventually, the treadmill is going to throw you off because you just cannot physically run that fast. So it's like your mind is on that treadmill. It's running, 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 and you have to find some way to pause the mind and give it some rest and give it some nurturing. Give your mind a hug. That's what I like to think of it as. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And then, of course, mental fatigue. Mental fatigue comes completely from stress. It's also a symptom of anxiety. It's a symptom of depression. And, of course, it's a symptom of exhaustion. So most business people, self-employed people like myself, they suffer from mental fatigue. Why? Because they're absolutely overwhelmed and overworked. So I'm not going to get into like this tip is for this and this tip is for that because I only have your lovely attention for maybe 12 to 15 minutes if I'm lucky. What I want to do is I want to give you tips that will help you with all of that. And, just to go back to that point about mental fatigue, most of the time it's from overwhelm. Overwhelm is from overwork. Overwork is when you're overwhelmed and overworked, you're not looking after the body the way it can. If you want the machine to run really well, then you have to look after it. You went out and bought a Lamborghini in the morning. Would you bring it to the best garages to service it? Would you put the best oil in the tank? Would you put the best diesel or petrol in the tank? Um, you'd look after it like so well. But this body is like, you can't buy this body. You can't remake this body. This body is your Lamborghini or your Ferrari or whatever it might be. So think about it like that. Don't tell me you haven't got time to look after this body. In traditional Chinese medicine, we say treating disease is like, going to the well when you're already thirsty. What you do is you don't allow yourself to get thirsty, and you don't go to the well for water when you're already thirsty. You go and get the water, have it ready. When you're thirsty, you take a sip. That's what we talk about with well-being, that you look after yourself and try. Prevention is better than cure. Now, very quickly, 4 cornerstones of well-being are breath, water, food, and sleep. I don't have time for the 4 cornerstones, so I'm going to pick the one that I know does all of the jobs that of all 4 of them. So if you only, like, literally, if you're stuck on a desert island and somebody said to you, right, you can have a magic wand that allows you to have one of those 4 cornerstones of well-being, it will be breath. Breath is the one, because breath has the power to not only clear your mind and release endorphins in your brain, it has the capacity to change the pH balance of your blood. It has the capacity to change your metabolism. It has so many different benefits. So I'm going to teach you a couple of different breathing techniques that's going to help you with it's going to help you with anxiety, stress, and even mental fatigue. I'm going to teach you an exercise that'll kind of give you a little bit of energy as well. So first of all, we want to talk about stress and anxiety. So stress and anxiety is the byproduct of already being overly stressed, even if you don't know it. I mean, even children that have produce anxiety symptoms excuse me, it's usually that they are overthinking, and there's a stress going on in the mind, they don't even realize it. In adults, we know what the symptoms of stress are like, but sometimes we think because we actually love being self-employed, or we love this job, or we love shopping for Christmas, it's not stressful. It's only when we get to the end of the event and we look back and go, oh my God, that was so stressful. How did I do that? So stress isn't always that obvious when it's in your life, because sometimes you actually enjoy stress, because that's how we're programmed in society, to enjoy this busyness and to enjoy stress. Okay, I know that sounds bonkers, but it's true. So the other thing to remember is that when you are stressed out, your nervous system is on high alert. So basically what that means is, if you can imagine a hospital monitor, you know, when the lines go up and down and up and down, when you're in stress mode, they're like spiking all the way over. So when we have severe stress, so in other words, a really traumatic experience, or prolonged stress, where the stress is relentless. It's like, when this project is over the line, I'm going to take a break. Oh no, maybe when this project's over the line, or maybe when this project's over the line, we don't allow ourselves that break. That's when the nervous system stays set at high alert. And when the nervous system is at high alert, it's flooding the body with adrenaline, with cortisone, which are debilitating hormones. They're good for the instantaneous reaction, but if they stay in the body, they have very detrimental effects on the body and the heart rate and the breath. So, and they speed up the aging process, which I cannot emphasize enough. So when you are suffering from stress and anxiety and you want to reset that mode, there's a specific exercise you need to do to reset that. And it's called a regulatory breath. And you need to do at least 10 of them every single day for 2 to 3 weeks, depending on your habit cycle. So I'm going to show you that one. Now, if you're just looking at preventing stress or maintaining a kind of calm, where you'd like to kind of stay, you know, at your top tip health, this is like a maintenance breath. I call this the Martini breath. So you can do this anytime, any place, anywhere. And, you know, think of it like, you know, a glass of water. It's good for you. It has the same benefits as, say, drinking a glass of water. Obviously, it doesn't hydrate you, but you know, the way we think, like we know that hydrating the body and drinking plenty of water is so good for the body. Well, this breath is the same as that. And then the last one that we have then is one for sleep. This is a box breath. It's my favorite one. And it helps you to fall asleep and fall back asleep. And that's what mental fatigue is preventing you from, that overtiredness, overwhelm. Now, I will be doing a series specifically on breath, which will be on my YouTube channel. So if you want to subscribe, or you head over to my website, you'll see all of these videos. They're uploaded there. So feel free to do that at a later stage. I only have a little snippet today, so I'm trying to kind of cram in as much as I possibly can. But do follow me for more of these lovely, fantastic breathing exercises. I have a gorgeous one to give you on an energizing breath. But like I said, I have to kind of pick my top three. Now, before we start, I've got a number for you. The magic number is number 4, okay? 4 is the magic number because, first of all, the Martini breath, which is the regulate, the everyday, anytime, any place, anywhere breath, is just breathe in for 4, out for 4. Like literally, you count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, out for 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. And guess what? Do it 4 times. Just do it 4 times. Now, of course, you can do it for 10 times. You can do it for 20 times. You can do it for 50 times. But when you say to your mind, I only have to do it for 4 times, you're much more likely to do it, okay? So that's your kind of everyday, just topping up, like think of it like your bottle of water you need to carry around in the car or in the bag. You know, that's your really good, healthy maintenance breath 4 times. In for the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. In through the nose and out through the nose. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in through the nose, out through the nose. Ideally, if you can't get in through the nose and out through the nose, use in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the mouth, out through the mouth. Whatever works for you, but just it's a slowing down of the breath that rebalances your pH system in your blood. Also resets your metabolism and helps to clear the mind. It releases endorphins in the brain. So that's if you're kind of in a good enough place already. If you're already on the scale of 1 to 10 in the stress factor, you're feeling already stressed, you're above a 6 or a 7, you want to reset the nervous system back to a nice, gorgeous up and down line. Like the up and down line of your heart rate is like up should be equal to down. That means your heart rate is nice and even, not this spiky one that we see up on the hospital sheets when we're seeing people having major coronary difficulties. So when you want that lovely, when you want to reset it, in other words, what you're doing with your nervous system is you're creating a new habit. So the breath is now slowing down. You're teaching it how to slow down. What you do is you breathe in for 4. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And out for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow. That's a long out breath. So a breath that regulates your heart rate is a breath that's in for longer than it's out. And also what we're going to do when we're breathing out that breath, we're going to put a little bit of a restriction in there. So what we do is we purse our mouth and just kind of blow slowly. So imagine you're blowing out the candles on a cake. You're breathing in through your nose. Do you imagine you're smelling a flower? Hold it so it goes right all the way down into every part of your lungs so they really expand, and blow slowly. 8. You can do that every single day for 2 to 3 weeks, depending on your habit cycle, because people have different habits. It recreates a new habit of your nervous system. Instead of being overly activated and overly stressed out, it calms down and it stays at a much more regulated heart rate and regulated nervous system and regulated breath. And come here, I wouldn't have, if I had an hour, I wouldn't be able to tell you the benefits of that, but you will feel the benefits of it. Now, if you're extremely stressed, you could decide to do that maybe twice a day. So 10 in the morning, 10 at night, but it's 10 times a day, that regulatory breath, which is 4, 6, 8. Okay. The last one now, and I'm really pushing it because I have it now for quite a long time, is what we call the box breath. I love this one. I use it all the time to help me fall asleep and fall back asleep. And again, it's our magic number 4. It's in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. So what you do is you breathe in through your nose, hold it for 4, out for 4. And when you breathe out, you hold again. And again. And 4 times. Okay. So remember, it's the 4, 4, 4, 4, 4 times. Now, you probably won't even make it to 4. Trust me on this, because this one just absolutely clears the mind and helps induce sleep, because that's all sleep needs for sleep to come, is a clear mind. And the other thing to say is the reason why it works so well is because we're used to holding our breath breathing in. But when we breathe out, we're not used to holding our breath. So it takes a huge amount of concentration. So try that one when you're going to sleep at night. And if you're somebody that wakes up in the middle of the night and the first thing you do is look at your watch and say, oh, I'm not going to be able to get back asleep now, forget about looking at your watch. Forget about looking at the phone. Just go straight into that box breath and you will fall back asleep. You won't have that problem again, because that's what's causing your mental fatigue. The mind just won't shut off. Also, what's causing the mental fatigue is the overwhelm of you overworking. You're just doing too much and not minding the body as much as you possibly can. Now, that is literally all from me. Like I said, there will be other videos specifically for breath work. So do follow me. Check out my website, or you can follow me on YouTube. I have my own channel. There's tons of videos there, and they're all labeled to do with breath. But if you could, I suppose, think one of the cornerstones of well-being that could help you with overcoming anxiety, stress, and mental fatigue, breath is the one. And of course, the beauty of breath is you always have it with you. You can do it anytime, any place, anywhere. So thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.